Welcome to Thursday. It is Dan and Mike with another edition of Litter Media Live. Thank you for joining us on this May 4th of 2023. And may the 4th be with you.
Yeah, I was reading yesterday who came up with that. And I think it was a member of Parliament in the UK, however many years ago it was, made that comment and it stuck. So now everybody's using it.
Mike was admitting to me off the air just a moment ago that you've only seen
Episode 1,
which is New Hope of the Star Wars series. Can't say trilogy because they came out with some afterwards.
right?
But
What do they call them, prequels?
yeah, this was I remember when the movie came out. I think it was 1978.
Something like that, yeah.
And my brother Mike had told me afterwards, because I wasn't into reading. We read comic books. That was about it. But he said, yeah, I guess this is actually the first story, but it's like 3 into it and so on and so forth. And I'm like, what? I couldn't wrap my brain around it.
Yeah.
But so there was Star Wars New Hope was the first one that came out, but it was actually episode 4. Followed by Return of the Jedi, followed by, what was the third movie that was out there?
Can't help you on these because I didn't see them.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of it. But I think after Phantom Menace, I started kind of losing interest. And so I haven't seen the Han Solo movie. I haven't seen the Mandalorian series. I haven't watched any of that kind of stuff. So.
But that's where the May the 4th be with you came from.
The Empire Strikes Back. That's what I was thinking.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right. So thank you again for watching us. We're not here to review movies, at least not
today.
Those movies. Mike will probably talk about something that happened on Turner Classic Movies a little bit later.
I was watching a 1932. Just this morning. It's William Powell Day on Turner Classic Movies. So.
Is it really?
Yes. And there was one from 1932 with he and Joan Blondell when I was leaving for work this morning. Almost called in sick. I got it really bad today.
Yeah, are you sure they don't show these movies on the TCM app? You could put it on your phone. And
Well,
watch it while
I
you're
do
sitting here
have that.
working.
I could be
Do
watching
you?
it, right? But I didn't want to do that, yeah.
Life with Mike is a trip, I'm telling you. All right, let's take a look at weather because today is the National Day of Prayer. A lot of folks are going outside for events, and it's going to be a nice day.
Yeah, much nicer, a little warmer, sunny, and 61 is the expected high. I think maybe even 62. They've changed that. Tomorrow, clouds, 67. We told you earlier in the week they're looking at mid to upper 70s for the weekend, but a chance of rain on Sunday. But warming up as we go.
And but tomorrow is Yellow Day here in Chillicothe. We will have a little for you on during this program about what Yellow Day is all about. So stay close for that. And we'll take a look at news. Big news over in Lancaster.
Big time.
So we'll touch on that here in a bit. Look at sports and this date in history. Plus, stick around. A Dan and Mike radio moment will be coming your way shortly. All right. But first, let's tell you about our friends at Accurate Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, your trusted comfort advisor. If you have an issue with your, you've had the furnace on a couple of nights this week in the last few days, or if you've got cooling issues that you need to have taken care of or plumbing issues, find out more with Accurate Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Click on this ad anywhere you see it at littermedia.com for complete details on how they can help you.
At Rathkamp Financial, we offer customized investment solutions and superior client service. We believe in long-term relationships and working to earn your continued trust. Our greatest satisfaction comes from working with clients for many years and helping them realize their dreams.
For transportation options in Ross County, call Ross County Health District's Mobility Management Team, 740-779-9652.
Find a career you love with Pickaway Ross Adult Education. Skilled trades careers are in high demand with no signs of slowing down. Pickaway Ross offers career training programs with expert instructors and hands-on learning tactics to create a variety of opportunities. Visit our website for more information.
Time now for news
Yes, sir.
with Mike Smith.
Lancaster is one of 2 new sites for data centers that Google is bringing to the state of Ohio.
This is not Google. I apologize.
Oh, okay.
Let me push this button. There we go.
Yeah, they're racing for Google, yeah. The other is on South High Street near Scioto Downs. The news could not be better, according to Lancaster Mayor David Scheffler, who we interviewed here just a month or so ago. He said, quote, Lancaster is ready for this moment. We are a pro-business community. We have the infrastructure, and we have the people. We're excited to welcome Google to our community. Now, since breaking ground on their first data center in Ohio about 4 years ago, Google has now invested more than $2 billion in the state of Ohio.
Googly eyes.
All right, yeah. Union Scioto Local School District in Ross County is seeking resumes from applicants to fulfill a vacancy on the Board of Education due to the recent passing of longtime board member Laura Uhrig. Now, the position is through December 31st of this year. To finish the 2-year open term, the chosen candidate would need to be on the ballot for November 7th of this year. As Dan mentioned, this is the National Day of Prayer all over the country, and here locally, of course, this is the Ross County Courthouse. That's going on at noon today. You said Pike County has something too?
Yes, 6:30 this evening, they'll have some prayer and worship at the Pike County Service Center. And at 6:30 this evening at the Ross County Courthouse, they have worship, and Pastor Austin Ankrum from Centerpoint's Circleville campus will be there. This, as Alana Beverly was explaining to us in our interview the other day, is going to be young people driven, and it's not just teens, but also talking about those that are in their early 20s into their 30s, and however young you want to call young people, I guess in that respect. But looking forward to this. This is tonight. So 6:30 till 8:30, they'll have some praise and worship for you.
In recent years, Fayette County had an activity at noon, but to be honest with you, I've looked and I have not seen anything for them today. But if you are living over near Washington Courthouse, might drive through the downtown and maybe you'll find what I could not. The Ohio Traffic Safety Office has announced that a new educational video aimed at teenage drivers has been released for National Youth Traffic Safety Month, which is in May. The 5-minute video features young hosts Ava and Noah explaining Ohio's traffic laws when it comes to sharing the road with bicyclists, school buses, large trucks, emergency vehicles, and pedestrians. Chillicothe Kiwanis Club is selling chances to win 2 season tickets for the upcoming Ohio State football home games. Chances are $5 each. If you are interested in purchasing a chance, you can reach out to any Kiwanian in the club. Leave them a message or see them when they set up their booth for the Feast of the Flowering Moon, which runs May 26th through the 28th in front of the Armory, where they're selling ice for the festival. And this will all go to children's community activities in Ross County. The new Chillicothe and Ross Public Library Kingston branch open house will be on May the 10th. That'll take place from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. at their location at 129 North Main Street. We want to thank one of our great sponsors, Kingston National Bank, for that shout-out to let us know what's coming up.
And tomorrow we'll have a special edition of Litter Media Live, 1 o'clock, in which we'll be visiting with James Hill from the library, along with Courtney Lewis.
Yeah, and they'll be talking about this, and I think they'll also mention, I guess, that they're no longer going to have a branch out at Huntington School. James will be talking about that as well.
Correct.
Okay, also, you can stop by the Pump House Center for the Arts today through May the 28th to see their photography showcase exhibit. This exhibition features photos taken by photographers within a 75-mile radius of Chillicothe.
Notice that couple in the picture there?
I do.
Dave Blosser and Karen Blosser.
How about that?
Appreciating the moon.
Well,
and it's as if
looks like she's appreciating Dave.
I think she's reading Dave's mind. It's why he's interpreting the picture he's looking at.
Yeah, and I can only imagine how Dave's interpreting that. But if you have any questions, give him a call down at the pump house, and John Payne, the director, will be happy to help you out. The McLean Cadet Corps heading to the Great American Ballpark on May the 22nd to present the nation's colors before an evening matchup between the Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals. And this is a great outfit over in Greenfield. These kids, they're everywhere. Memorial Day activities, July 4th activities. When they brought Seaman Hoffman back after many years, of course, he was killed at Pearl Harbor for burial at Greenfield. The McLean Cadet Corps were there to help welcome him home.
And if I'm not mistaken, the director of the McLean Cadet Corps was at Payne Valley.
John Wilson.
And they did a lot of things at Payne Valley before he moved to McLean.
Yeah, John's doing a great job. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame new inductees, and we wouldn't probably give much attention to this except for the fact that one of their new inductees is Sheryl Crow, and Sheryl will be one of the headline performers at the Lancaster Festival in late July.
Right behind Kate Bush right there.
Yeah.
And you got Missy Elliott,
The late George Michael.
Willie Nelson.
On the road again.
You think he'll be celebrating with a little of smoking? That
you never know.
Rage Against the Machine, The Spinners, Rubber Band Man.
Oh, yeah.
DJ Cool, Herc.
Yeah, you got me on that one. Yeah.
I don't know. Link Ray, I'm not familiar with. Shaka Khan.
Yeah.
Al Cooper is not Alice Cooper.
No.
Bernie Taupin. We know
a writer with Elton John.
Elton John. And Don Cornelius.
Soul Train.
Yeah.
So congratulations. So if you get to see Sheryl Crow over at the Lancaster Festival, you'll be seeing her. I bet the ticket sales just jumped up again now that she's in the Hall of Fame.
Well, the ticket price should go up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you're seeing a Hall of Famer.
Another event that gets underway over in MacArthur today is the Wild Turkey Festival. Told you about this, I think, late last week of the different activities that are going on there. Most of the what they would call the headline entertainment, that actually starts tomorrow night, but the festival gets underway later today.
And this is on the heels of turkey hunting season. I find that interesting.
Yeah. For those turkeys that survive, they can come to the festival and celebrate the fact that they survived.
We made it!
We made it to another year.
Till Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Pickaway County Fair is just around the corner. Just talking about June 17th through the 24th. Hard to believe that it's like, what is that, 6 weeks?
Yeah.
6 weeks away. So if you want to find out more, you'll find this post here on our Facebook page, and you see the link there for the Pickaway County Fair. Click on that, and it'll take you to all their fair essentials, including the fair book.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very good. And our road report today stays in Ross County, State Route 138 bridge replacement. That's between Austin Road and Mallow Road. During construction, traffic maintained using concrete barrier wall and a temporary traffic signal. The initial work for temporary pavement widening performed using flaggers, and that project goes through this summer. And those are your headlines.
All right. Coming up, sports. But first, let's tell you about McDonald's. I was in McDonald's earlier this morning, ran into a gentleman, 94 years old, John Overman. Many folks might remember. If you ever see like a statue set, like he was part of the Neil Johnston statue positioning. He told me he was getting ready to go do one up in Circleville by himself.
Oh, my.
94.
How about that?
Still operating that crane and going at it. But wonderful conversation with that individual. And he was just popping into McDonald's. And that's the kind of people you meet at McDonald's.
Yes, sir.
When you go in with a good heart and stand in and say, let's get breakfast. Let's break bread.
Let's break bread.
You can do that at McDonald's in Circleville, in Greenfield, and Waverly. And the 4 locations we have here in Chillicothe, the one I was at this morning was Western Avenue. And there's a strawberry and cream pie waiting on me over there as well.
I may hit them on the way out of town here on my project this afternoon.
Make sure you hit a McDonald's drive-thru or walk in and say, McDonald's,
I'm loving it.
Mike Smith, man on the cue. All right, coming up, sports on the way next.
Hi, I'm Dave Pinkerton with Advanced Services Heating and Cooling, your local heating and cooling expert. If you want quality service, quality installation, give Advanced Services a call, 740-773-4499.
You haven't had vodka soda like this. No one has. Made with the world's smoothest vodka plus real juice. New White Claw Vodka Soda.
This is Big Chillicothe. Horizon's 100% fiber internet service is coming to your area. Call 740-772-8331 or visit horizonconnects.com/Chillicothe to sign up today.
Time for the world of sports.
Yeah, we're 3 months away from the high school football season, but yesterday the Ohio High School Athletic Association released...
Oops.
Oops.
I know I've got it here somewhere.
You got it there somewhere. Well, we can talk about this first if you like.
Yeah, go ahead.
Taze Valley Lady Vikings clinched at least a share of the Mid-State League championship in softball with a 5-0 win over Liberty Union. This is a done deal. They have 3 conference games to go, and they only have to win 1 game because they have a 3-game lead in the Mid-State League Buckeye. And I'll wait till Dan shows me what we're going to talk about next. Uniota, okay. Close call for the Lady Sherman softball team yesterday. They are still undefeated in the conference, but they had to score a run in the bottom of the 7th inning to beat Westfall 5-4. Now, Adena, who's 1 game back, they also had a close call. They win over Southeastern 4-3 in extra innings. That went 8.
I found it. I truly buried the lead. I just realized that.
Yeah. So the Ohio High School Athletic Association has announced the 2023 football divisions and regions. Now, you know, because of enrollment and things of that nature, when they count up the kids from grades freshman through junior from the previous year, which determines the following year, that determines where you're going to end up playing. I think Chillicothe is going to still be in Division III, Region 11. Of all the teams that in our area, I'd had to look up 30 teams. You can do that by simply going to littermedia.com, and there's a link for each of the divisions and what region those teams will be playing in. Chillicothe Paints, presented by Cohen Orthopedic, celebrating their 30th season this summer with another packed promotion schedule. One night on the road to start the season, the Paints open the home portion of their schedule on Thursday, June the 1st at 7:05. It's opening night, including a post-game fireworks extravaganza. Yes. Pardon-moi. But that's the emblem you'll see a lot of this year, 30 seasons of baseball for the Paints.
Mm-hmm.
Reds were unsuccessful to take that rubber match yesterday from the Padres, losing 7-1. Sessa, I think he left as a starting pitcher in the 3rd inning. He was really struggling there, and it got even worse after he left. So the Reds are off today, back at home to start a weekend set against the White Sox tomorrow evening. And the Guardians, their fate was comparable. They did not win their rubber match against the Yankees, losing yesterday.
So much so the image did not make it up there.
Yeah,
So,
they were really dejected.
but this image got me excited yesterday. This is Joe Thomas. and he is sitting there. Of course, they are preparing his bust for induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Yeah. This was shared by the Cleveland Browns yesterday, and I thought to myself, a living legend right there.
Yeah. Wonder how many different sculptors over the years that the Hall of Fame has used to do this.
I saw a feature on this at one point in time on the NFL Network, and I can't remember.
Because that fellow doesn't look very old.
No, he doesn't. But I think there was one fella who did them for a long time, and now I think they've branched out to others here of late. But the one bust experience that I can really remember to tell you about is when Anthony Munoz had made it into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Cincinnati Bengal. He was the longest time. He was the only Bengal in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And my wife was with me, and she walks up to him, and she goes, huh. And the pupil was kind of sunken in. You know, it's how they do some of the sculptures. And she puts her thumb right in his pupil, and I'm like, what are you doing? He's a Hall of Famer.
He poked his eye
Don't
out.
you know that they talk to each other at night? And he's going to say, this woman came up and poked her thumb in my eye.
Night at the museum. Don't ever let that lady come close to you again.
But the cool thing, and I don't know, when I was there in 2019 was when they were coming out with the computer-generated conversations, and they had Michael Strahan and John Madden, and you could walk up and you could ask a question.
Oh, wow.
And the bust would talk to you.
Oh, my gosh.
It was kind of neat. They would pull they had this post, and then an iPad was on it. And the person giving us the tour would pull that post right up in front of the bust, and then you would ask a question, and then the computer animation made the bust talk.
How about?
And John Madden was the one, when he was inducted in the Hall of Fame, was talking about, I just imagine when they shut the lights off and these busts start having these conversations and talking to one another about the days of playing football. And so it was really cool to see that demonstration. But I've not been back to see if they have furthered that. In fact, I reached out to someone who was there last year, and they didn't act like they had seen that.
Yeah.
So
now, the Hall of Presidents down at Disney World, all of the statues, well, they're not statues. They're actually almost like mannequins.
Animatronics.
Yeah. They would talk, but I don't think they did an interactive where they would respond. Now, with AI,
who knows?
They may just walk around and sit down and have coffee with you.
Right. I could see that.
If Abe Lincoln drinks coffee.
The one thing that struck me from, and I know the animatronics were still a little shaky when I last time I've been to Disney World was 1979, so it's changed a little bit since I was there. But the one that stood out to me was you could hear the lips smack. And I thought to myself, you know, here's George Washington talking, and you could hear him go, you know, and I'm like, well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's neat.
You know,
my daughter was watching the interview back that we did with her a couple of weeks, and she said, you know, your lips. And I said, your mother used to talk about hearing me do that on the radio 30 years ago. So
Mike Smith, lip smacking broadcaster.
Guy,
Not exactly finger licking good.
No, that's right.
Yeah, that's how it goes. All right, just ahead, this date in history is
a sports note from 1966.
1966.
Say hey.
Oh, he's giving it
Little
away.
hint.
He's giving it away. That is coming your way next, plus our radio moment for today. All right, coming up in just a moment, we've got all that for you, but I want to tell you about the folks who help clean up around here, and that's Scioto Valley Dumpsters. If you've got a big cleanup job to do, whether it's residential or commercial, you need a dumpster for that, and they've got them. 740-253-8389. Give Carl a call and say, I need one of those dumpsters that they talk about on Litter Media Live.
Yes, sir.
And they'll bring it to you, and then when you're done filling it up, they'll take it away as well. Scioto Valley Dumpsters, 740-253-8389.
If you can't give true love to me, I'll understand. Just
it's only worth it if you enjoy it. Michelob Ultra.
For transportation options in Ross County, call Ross County Health District's Mobility Management Team, 740-779-9652.
This is Andy Tomlinson. When ensuring what's important to you, our agents are there when you need us the most. Tomlinson Insurance, for the best coverage at the best cost. Visit us online at tomlinsonins.com to learn more.
If sweat is your body's natural way of cooling itself down, then condensation is a beer's natural way of saying, drink me. Michelob Ultra, superior light beer.
We turn the clock back to 1966.
San Francisco Giants outfielder Willie "Say Hey Kid" Mays hits his 512th career home run to break Mel Ott's National League record for home runs. Now, Mays would finish his career with 660, good for third on the all-time list in time for his retirement. I remember going to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown when I was a kid. This would have been 1968. So that'd been 2 years after this. And at that time, Willie, of course, they had Babe Ruth 714, which was the all-time record at that time. And second place was Willie Mays. And I think Willie, by 68, he might have been at 600 something. Of course, we all now know that since that time, Hank Aaron beat everybody's record. Right. And then, I was going to say the cheater. Who was it that broke his record? I
believe the name you're searching for is Bobby Bonds. Barry Bonds.
Bobby's
son.
Yeah, that guy. I just can't even say his name because it's just not real.
Mr. Purist over here.
Give me Babe. Give me Hank. Yeah. So, but Willie took over the National League record on this date in 1966. I was just trying to think, and I've never written this down, of all of the Hall of Famers that I saw play. And just quickly, during the commercial, when I was running through my head, I think I came up with 9 or 10, and I think there's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
So, Don Drysdale, Willie Mays, Stargell, all those guys, Willie McCovey. I was blessed to, I guess, be around early enough to see a lot of those guys play. And, of course, some of our audience who's a little bit older than you and I probably could say, well, that's nothing, man. I saw these guys play. So
I would like to, at some point in time, visit every ballpark.
A lot of people put that on their bucket list to do that.
I think, I want to say Brad Basil did this with one of his sons and tried to hit all of them. I don't know if they ever obtained that or not.
Craig Kearns and Davis Kearns, I think they were trying to do that. I don't know how far. Grandma Lou listening in, you could probably tell us how far they've gotten with theirs. But
I never made it to Crosley Field. You'd been to Crosley Field.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what that experience is like. I never made it to the old stadium the Columbus Jets played in. I was never in that one. But I was part of Cooper Stadium when they built that. Had the chance to perform there with the marching band. Taze Valley had played Hamilton Township there in high school.
I thought this was a concert you sang in or something.
Oh, no.
You were the opening act for somebody?
No, we were the featured band at halftime. You kidding?
That's great.
But, they hosted several marching band festivals, so I had marched there more than once.
Well, help me out here. Where did the Columbus Jets play? Was it on the site of Cooper Stadium?
I think that's where it was.
Because I don't think I ever saw a game that the Jets played in.
Was it the Columbus Jets and the Redbirds?
I believe that's correct.
Was before that. And I don't know why they call them Redbirds. I assume they were Cardinals. I don't know for sure.
See, Galbraith, who owned I think the Pirates for a while. He lived in Columbus, and I don't know this, but I'm guessing he probably had something to do with some of the Columbus minor league franchises because they were affiliated with the Pirates for a while.
Yeah.
The Clippers, hence the name, they were affiliated with the Yankees, Yankee Clippers.
George Steinbrenner, was it his wife was from Columbus?
Well, George
he
was
had
from
some-
Zanesville and Cleveland for
Okay.
a while. But, yeah, I don't know if the Galbraith family started the minor league franchises in Columbus or what.
Yeah, I don't know.
They were big in horses, politics, and baseball.
When I started broadcast school, we had a booth pass to the Clippers games, and so we could. Part of your equipping you to become a broadcaster was J.C. Penney cassette recorders.
Yeah.
So that was part of our tuition. It purchased a cassette recorder for you, and ask the Reverend Troy Gray about this when you see him, because that's where Troy and I met, was at the American School of Broadcasting. And so we went to do a Clippers broadcast together, broadcast on our tape recorder. And, it gave us a chance to learn how to do play-by-play and that sort of thing. And trying to picture Troy Gray as a sports announcer.
How about Will Ferrell? That was his goal, was to be a sports broadcaster, and then he becomes Ken Schnocky.
Yeah.
He's still.
I think he's still the general manager.
I had a chance to interview him a couple of times, but one of those days that I went in to interview Ken, when you go into the stadium in the press gate, I got to talking with the gentleman. I guess he'd been affiliated with the organization for decades doing that.
Wasn't George Sisler, was it?
No. But come to find out, it is John Evans' uncle.
Oh, really?
Pastor John down in Richmondale, who was former AD and coach at Southeastern. I said, you got to be kidding. John never told me the connection. So next time I caught up with John, I asked him about that. And he said, yeah, Uncle so-and-so.
John Rose, the treasurer for Union Sciota Schools, he and I used to go to Columbus Clippers games. And we went up one year. Ken Schnocky was there. We didn't have the best of seats. And I went over and said, hey, Mr. Schnocky, we're here. Thanks for sending us comp tickets. And he says, where are you sitting? I said, well, we're sitting like, and he says, here, why don't you guys go down field level?
Yeah.
And so here we are. We're like 3 rows from the field, which was really cool. And we're sitting there, and they were playing Scranton Wilkes-Barre, I think. And I looked at John. I said, that pitcher looks familiar. Is that Doug Bear?
Oh, my.
Who pitched for the Phillies, and it was. And I'm like, I'll be a son of a gun. We named a big leaguer right there in front of us.
Of course, some guy named the captain came through Columbus.
Yes, he did.
Briefly, because he was good enough to go pretty much to the top in a hurry. But he was, a lot of great future Major League players and Hall of Famers made their way through. Of course, everybody forgets the Toledo Mud Hens, except when you're watching MASH and Max Klinger.
That's
right. Ohio teams that had a lot of guys that came through that went on and did big things in Big League Baseball.
I've not heard back from her, but Debbie Bettendorf, I texted yesterday because the kid who pitched yesterday for the Reds in relief, Legumina, his dad was in the Tigers organization about the same time that Dave Bettendorf was there. And I wondered if they might have been teammates at some point in time, because I think he was there 82 to 85, and then he was picked up by the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But on the inside of his forearm, he has his dad's baseball cards tattooed onto there. It really looks really cool. I mean, it looks he's carrying around an actual ball card right there on his. You talk about collecting ball cards.
That's right. I wonder if Topps sued him for his arm or something.
I don't know about that. But I guess his dad didn't make it out of the minors. But he's now made, I think, 4 appearances with the Reds in his young career. That wasn't really our broadcast moment. I was kicking around we were talking earlier today about some of the places we've broadcast games before, and we were talking about Massillon Stadium and how horrible of a location that was to do a state football game.
Yeah. I mean, when it was built in 1920-something, it was probably pristine, but they let it go.
But you talk about a skinny press box. Oh. And it was a big press box in regards to its length. I mean, it probably went from the 10-yard line to the 10-yard line. But there were, I don't know how many radio stations in there, and you only had so much room to put all your equipment and then do the game, and then listening to the chatter was distracting.
I know the two times that I went up to cover Amanda Clear Creek, I don't know how I drew the straw. But each time we were on the far left, and there's this giant heater that comes up out of the ceiling, and it's right next to my head.
So you were dried out by the time.
Oh my gosh! And you can't see sitting down, so I'm standing the whole game, and this heater's right blowing heat right into my head the whole game. So
if I remember correctly, Greg Bigham and I were the broadcast duo. And Matt Bruning was down on the field doing his sideline reports. And I want to say we were kind of close to midfield where they had set us. I probably picked the wrong spot. That's probably how we got there.
You got to know somebody, you know?
Yeah, right. But what a game that was. And the most memorable moments, I think, was at the end of the game where Coach Ron Hinton came unglued and he threw his toboggan on the ground. He was not happy with a couple of calls that didn't go Amanda's way. And it was one of those cold, late November days in which it was kind of misty, a little raining here and there. It was just miserable of a day. And his toboggan, I don't know how much it weighed, but it weighed enough from the moisture that when he kicked it, it went 25 yards down the field. That was probably one of the coolest moments I remember.
One game that just jumps right out at me, we were getting ready to do a football game at Paint Valley in their new current press box. It was new at the time. And we were on the far left side, and a really nasty thunderstorm came up right at the beginning of the game, and it blew the window out of the press box behind us as we're on the air.
That'll get your attention.
Now, this is after my mom had passed away, and my dad was traveling with us. So we didn't break a stride. We kept broadcasting, and Dad was fixing the window. It was a big plexiglass window, but, man, that wind came up, and it just blew that window completely out, and Dad had to fix it while we were broadcasting. But that was scary.
I had the opportunity only, the most recent state championship opportunity I had was Chillicothe when they won in 2008. Prior to that would have been Uniota girls and Adena girls and Logan Elm girls. You have had more opportunities, baseball, softball. Try and lay those out for us.
Golly. Trying to think of all the Hall of Famers that I got a chance to watch. I don't know that I could pop them out of my head. The first one was probably in the 80s. We went up with Uniota baseball, talking about Dave Bettendorf. They were in the state semifinals, and they were ahead, and it rained all morning. Jim Day was with me, and they delayed. It was supposed to be like a 10:30 or an 11 o'clock start, and the rains came in. They wouldn't cancel the game. They thought that it would clear off later in the day, which it did. So Jim and I and his girlfriend at the time, which he did not later marry, Terry. I'm not going to tell him. Jim's going, oh, great, I'll have to hear this tonight.
You're already threw Sarah's name into this. Yeah. Who's Sarah? Yeah.
We spent the whole day. I think we went to a movie. We went out to eat and still got there in time to broadcast, but the field was soaking wet. And there was a ball hit into right center field late in the game. Outfielder misplayed it. I think Uniota lost 2-1, and that team the next day won the state championship like 10-0. So it could have been Ron Neff and Uniota, but I believe that was either in 1988 82, 83, somewhere in that era. That was the first team, and then there were a number of ones. As far as state champs, Dena girls basketball, Paint Valley baseball in '95, and then the one or two Amanda football teams. Those are only teams we got that there was a state championship. There were a bazillion others that got to either the semis or the championship before losing.
Yeah.
So.
What's different about a championship game compared to just a regular game?
Well, you're a nervous wreck because you feel like you're on that team, because even though you may have covered other teams in your league, when that's the last team standing, you're all in. Mm-hmm. And I remember one of the Uniota girls teams lost in overtime. They were ahead several points down the stretch, went in overtime, got beat. The year they went up 2 years later and got beat with no time remaining on 2 foul shots on a questionable call. I almost cried after that game because you just wanted those kids to win so bad that.
And you've come this far.
Yeah.
You know, you'd like to be the last one standing.
Yeah.
And I recall when Chillicothe was down 16 points at halftime, I thought, it's a shame. We've come all the way up here. And then I thought in the back of my head, you know what? We've seen them overcome so many other obstacles along the way this year. Why would this be just one more obstacle? Why wouldn't it? You know? But I recall I was pumping gas, I believe, on the way to the game. And I think at that moment I was trying to figure out what my words might be should Chillicothe win. And
the Al Michaels moment.
Yeah. And because you don't want it to be something stupid.
Yeah.
But what was crazy was I thought about, they were playing Toledo Libby. And so I thought, what am I going to say? It's the Cowboys and so on and so forth. There's all kinds of connotations. But all that went out the window when they were 16 points down. Mm-hmm. It was gone from my brain at that point. And then when they started coming back and they've got the lead in the last few seconds of regulation, I thought, okay, I better start thinking about what I was thinking about again.
Yeah.
And so then they go into overtime, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not going to get to use it. So the one thing that I set up was Holy Toledo, the Cavaliers have won the state championship. And so that was my
that year, that team
moment.
Could genuinely say they were the best team in the state of Ohio because they had beaten the Division I state champs earlier in the year.
In D1 and D2.
Yeah.
Because they defeated
Newark.
Yeah. And what was cool about that whole experience was the year prior, Chillicothe played in one of these showcase events at Ohio State, at Value City Arena. And we were the last game. Who did we play? Toledo Libby.
Yeah.
And Chillicothe got beat by double digits. And as we were packing all of our equipment, tearing down the broadcast, there was the team coming out onto the basketball floor. They were getting ready to go hit the bus. And I saw Humpty Hitchens grab everybody together at mid-floor. And so I asked him later, I said, what did you say to the team? And he says, boys, we're going to be back here someday, and we are not going to lose. Well, the next season, they're playing in that same showcase, playing against the Newark Wildcats, and they beat Newark. And then comes state tournament time, they're meeting Toledo Libby again. And I'm like, wow, you couldn't ask for this to be set up better. And sure enough, that's what happened.
And Toledo had a kid that went on to play at Ohio State.
Oh, William Buford, yeah. And 2 other players that ended up going to James Madison, playing with Humpty when he transferred from Akron to James Madison.
That's something.
So, yeah, those were great times, All right, we're 15 minutes away from National Day of Prayer activities downtown, so we better wrap things up so we can go down there. That's it for the show today. Later this afternoon, we're talking Addams Family, the Chillicothe High School senior play. And that's going to be taking place soon. We'll get all the details and share with you about 4 o'clock this afternoon with another edition of Litter Media Live. For the icon, Mike Smith, I'm Dan Ramey. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Pray for your country.
Amen.
Pray for your leaders. Pray for your pastors. Pray for yourselves. Pray for each other on this National Day of Prayer.